Morning guys, this is just a quick sneaky behind the scenes view of Gibson guitars. We've got Pink Floyd corner just over here. We've got the black Strat, we've got the bit of memorabilia, we've got the David Gilmour's book on the black Strat. We have today two Les Pauls. That's studio lighting there, just get you over here. That's my Les Paul. This is the one with P90s in it. There we go. So there you go, that's just a quick view of behind the scenes. As you can see, I've got my brew, sat on my settee. We're in a slightly different location at the Gigs and Guitars HQ. So 2020, even though it's been a bit of an interesting year, the guitar industry has reported that it's actually been a very good year for people taking up the guitar and playing the guitar and learning a new skill. Now, guitar sales have been very, very buoyant this last year, which has been one of the success stories of 2020. Obviously, we're talking about beginners, but incidentally, I've got quite a few friends, and there are a number of people who write in national publications who simply aren't playing guitar at the minute. But there are beginners out there, newbies, that are supporting the manufacture of beginners instruments and beginners guitar training packages online, which is really, really good. Now, the aim of this video today is really just to illustrate one or 2 points if you're considering moving on from a beginner's guitar to something pretty much like my Les Paul just to my side here. Now, my Les Paul Gold Top was purchased a number of years ago, and I bought it from London, and I went to a dealership called New Kings Road Vintage Guitar Emporium and met with a chap called Mo. And the deal was done. Really, really good guitar. But in the last year, we've not been able to do that really. And so it's been a little bit of a difficult time if you were wanting to buy a guitar, but yet you could not play it. And one of the things I'm going to come on to is the guitar that I have in front of me, which I will just get now. This is a 2018 Gibson Les Paul Gold Top. Now, it's a classic. And you can see it here, it's a nice guitar. And I have to say at this moment in time, it's not my guitar, it's in my possession for the time being, and I'm just going to have a right good bit of a play on it, which you'll see in a bit. But as you can see, it's fully loaded with the P90 pickups, which is what David Gilmour used on Another Brick in the Wall. And this is a guitar that's come into my possession. I'll just pop that back on the stand to do a little bit of a road test. But is it quite what it seems? Okay, so just a quick bit of a blap on the Les Paul Gibson standard gold top. Okay, so just a quick bit of a go on my Gibson Les Paul standard gold top, and then we'll flit over to the Gold Top Classic, and we'll just see how they compare on tones. That's got single coils in it, P90s. This has got humbucking paths, so we'll see what they sound like. I love this guitar, it's great. Okay, so that was on the bridge pickup. We'll now move to the neck pickup. Should be a bit fatter tone now. This guitar through that Laney IoT 60 sounds incredible in here. Don't know what it's going to sound like on the actual mic I've got attached to my shirt, but we'll just have to wait and see. Okay guys, so just bearing in mind we're going on to single coils now, so I would imagine there's going to be a little bit of hum going on. So just bear with us one sec. Let's get this plugged in. Shouldn't really do that, but never mind. Okay, so I've just tuned this guitar up, and to be honest, what I have noticed is that I've checked the intonation, and it seems fairly sort of accurate, to be honest, at the 12th fret. So as for the guitar being in tune at the bottom end, it's also in tune at the top end, which is what intonation is all about. So anyway, so current sort of thoughts at the minute are, it feels like a Les Paul, looks like a Les Paul. The neck shape, it looks a little bit more like a budget guitar rather than like a premium Gibson, to be honest. Well, that's not good, is it? Let's check the other one. Just stand by, I'll just mute it. Hang on a sec. Right, we're definitely plugged in. Now unmute it. Well, this is a bit of a worry, is this? Let's have a quick look. Sounds quite nice. Sounds quite nice, to be fair. Actually, it sounds incredible, to be honest, on that neck pickup. Let's try it on the edge of break up. Try bridge by itself. Oh, I think this is a problem we had a minute ago, I think. Right, so volume's now on 0, feeding it in. Nope. Oh, there's some funny cracks. Let's go back to the neck. Back to the bridge. It's dead. Oh, that's a bit of a worry. Oh, that is a real bit of a worry, that. For me at the minute, if this arrived through the post in this kind of state, we've got a bridge pickup which clearly isn't working. Could be a number of things. It could be a faulty bridge pickup, it could be the wiring in between, it could be the volume pot. It's having no effect at all, but I'm getting a little bit of clip just at maximum volume, but nothing. And for me, that is a bit of a worry, really. So okay, so the neck pickup, this one here, the P90, the neck pickup sounds really, really good. But the disappointment is certainly the bridge pickup doesn't work. Now, for me, this is a guitar which is little over 2 years of age. Mine's a 2012, and we've got a quite serious defect on what is a premium guitar. So I think what we need to do is have a bit of a further look into this guitar and see what's what with it. Oh shit. Oh, I'm gonna switch that off before we do some damage to my amp. Right, on that bombshell, back to the studio. So you've just been on eBay or you've just been on Reverb, and your ideal guitar is a Gibson Les Paul Gold Top, whether it's a standard or a classic or a traditional or whatever. And at some stage you've got to make a little bit of a decision as to whether you're going to buy that guitar or whether you're not going to buy that guitar at all. But sometimes there might be a deal in place where you think that's a very, very attractive price. The price might be absolutely brilliant, but you're going to be relying again on photographs and the description and contacting the person who's going to sell it, you know, so you can make a decision, because there's no way in the current climate you're going to be able to go and see that guitar and really play it. We're all stuck at home again. And that is the problem that we face at the minute. Now, getting back to the Gold Top, now you will see some detailed photographs on the video now. About the problems that I've already identified with that Gold Top, which makes me wonder about the credibility of the guitar. So we'll just go back to the Gold Top again. Okay, so this is pretty much, as it seems, a genuine Gibson Les Paul Gold Top. It's got the rosewood board on it, we've got the P90 pickups, it's got a lovely gold finish to it, it's got the Gibson branding on it. It's got a serial number on the back. It says it's a 2018 edition of a Gibson Les Paul Classic. It's got the pearloid inlays, and it looks, by all accounts, a really nice guitar. The pickup, as you've seen in the video, doesn't work, and it's a guitar that's just over 2 years old. And you think, well, why doesn't it work? You know, and then you've got all these little clues. You think, well, is it a genuine article? So then you delve further into the actual guitar itself, and you'll see on the photographs that as the strings pass over the actual bridge over the saddles, the angle in which they go down to the tailpiece is just a normal angle, but the actual screws which adjust the saddles for the intonation, they're flush with the top of the bridge almost, whereby each and every string is resting on those adjustment screws, instead of just resting on top of the saddles themselves. Now, that is a bit of a question on the quality of the components on this guitar. The other issues, and it's very quick really, the Grover machine heads on here, the plating is absolutely dreadful, and when you look at the quality of it, it's pitted, it's very low rent. And if you look at the quality of the Grovers on my guitar, which you'll see now, you'll see that the plating is really, really nice. Now, my guitar it's a lot more older than this one, so you think that this would be in far better condition, but it's simply the reverse. The plating isn't all that good. When you look at the words Grover on the top of the machine heads at the back of the top of the mechanism housing, it looks low rent. It doesn't look like the right type font when you look at my Les Paul Standard. Equally, we have issues around the nut here. And you'll see on the photographs again, the actual angle of the nut, I don't know whether you can see it there, it doesn't direct the strings in a nice angle at the point where the strings hit the nut, which replicates the angle of the headstock going backwards. Now, if you look at the photographs of my Les Paul, you'll see it's a nicely chamfered angle on that nut, which replicates the angle of the headstock. So that makes me think it's a nut that's just a general nut that somebody's just popped on and glued it in place. And when you look at the actual glue that's been used, it's a bit of a messy job as well, you know. And we're not forgetting, but guitars like this, you're going to be spending a few £1,000s on. If it's a genuine article like a Gibson Les Paul Standard or a Classic or a Traditional, it's going to be a wallet busting few quid, should I say. And this, I have to say, with all these little bits and pieces, is making me wonder about the credibility of this guitar. Take, for example, on the back here, plastics on Les Pauls are plastics, but these are very low rent plastics. We've got very basic sort of screws in here, and if you have a look at the photographs of my Les Paul, yes, they're higher quality plastic, but the screws are nicely finished off. It's the minor detail that counts. So for me at the minute, if I bought this guitar mail order, what am I going to do with this? I really don't know, because right at this minute in time, yes, it has got a Gibson name on top of the headstock, but I'm actually thinking, is it actually Gibson, or is it something that presents itself as being a Gibson? And at this minute in time, we've got all these defects, all these little bits of problems. And at the minute, I'm actually questioning the validity of this guitar as being what it presents itself to be. Now, it doesn't stop there, so I'll just pop that back on the guitar stand. There we go. Now, you'll see some shots on screen about the guitar case and what came with it. Now, the problem is with the guitar case, it's one or two little things for me, is when I was opening up the guitar case, we've got the Gibson latches all the way around it. And you can see in the photograph that the actual latches are actually incredibly sharp on the corners. So if you're, for example, wanting to open that guitar case very quickly at a gig to get yourself set up, you could actually end up cutting your fingers. Now, when I've compared those latches to the latches on my guitar case, my guitar latches are nicely rounded off. These things have got burrs on them. They're very, very cheap and very poorly produced. And again, that case, to do with the craftsmanship, when you look at the work on a guitar which is 2 years old and you compare it to my guitar, which is significantly older but in far, far better condition, would Gibson send out a guitar like that? Okay everybody, I've had a little bit of a think about this guitar, and I think the best thing to do is to look at a second opinion, which we must do. And I'd like to introduce you to Harry Jones. Harry's got a fantastic guitar collection, a wealth of knowledge, and he's also got a fantastic guitar school which is called Crossroads Guitar Academy. So what are your thoughts on this guitar, Harry?
Thanks, Kev. My name's Harold Jones and I'm the founder and tutor of Crossroads Guitar Academy. The first question I'd like to ask is it ethically right for such copies like the ones we've seen in this video to be allowed to be sold? I say no. These are guitars which are poorly made. They consist of bad wood, bad construction, bad hardware, bad setup. The only thing that's right about it is that they vaguely resemble a very iconic guitar, like in this case the Gibson Les Paul Gold Top. The sad thing is, people are buying these guitars because they aspire to have a Fender, a Gibson, a PRS. And they wander across certain websites, which I'm not prepared to name, but they're easily found on a Google search, and they suddenly see Gibson Les Paul, £250, £300, with a hard case and with shipping from China. These guitars are known as Gibsons, and the sad thing is more and more people are falling for these. This example of a guitar is a perfect example of a guitar which could be easily mistaken for a genuine guitar. When I first saw it, I thought, is this genuine? It didn't feel right, but then you can't tell a tree how to grow in a certain way. Each guitar is unique. And that's why I think if you're going to buy a guitar, it's best if you can get it in your hands and feel it first. The guitar had the right colour, it looked like it had the right hardware, it seemed to have the right weight. But it only took about 5-10 minutes before we started realising that things weren't right. For example, the Grover machine heads, poorly made, print of the word is not right. the bevel on the actual turn of the machine head missing. Then we think about the pickups. Well, the neck pickup wasn't working. And then we look at the neck itself. A very anemic looking piece of, if it's rosewood, I don't know what it is. The sad thing is, more and more people are buying these guitars, and some people are choosing then to upgrade the poor hardware with official products like from Gibson, and Gibson will happily sell them that, and that's fine. And in that way it allows somebody to take a very similar shaped guitar and then upgrade it to their heart's content, and then they have something which resembles something a little bit more and plays hopefully a little bit more than the guitar they originally bought. There are guitars known as lawsuit guitars, and these are guitars which existed in the 70s, which strongly resembled, identical to Gibson guitars. But they were made by luthiers, they were made by people who actually knew how to make a guitar. And therefore that's why the lawsuit guitars became very popular and highly sought after, and still are to this day. I think for the guitarist who's looking to get a guitar of one that they aspire to have, like a Les Paul, they need to think seriously about, is the Gibson the be-all and end-all? Or are there alternatives? We have the Epiphones, we have vintage. There's a lot of good guitars out there. And I hope with this video, and more videos that Kev's going to do, that he will start to enlighten people that there are alternatives to the big three or big five guitar makers. Don't get me wrong, I've got a Gibson Les Paul here, I love it. But I also have very cheap copy guitars, and I've used the word copy deliberately, because they resemble Les Pauls, but they have their own unique take on it. And those guitars have been well made, well set up, and they become a very playable guitar. Case in question, the Italian Maranello, designed, made by Trevor Wilkinson, and one of the biggest pioneers of that guitar is Chris Rea. That guitar is an unbelievable guitar at a very ridiculously low price. And if you can find one, I highly recommend you try it. It's a Les Paul shape, but then it has the quirkiness of like mother of toilet seat back and unusual plastic pick guard with floating picks. The whole story was Chris Rea needed a guitar which he could take out on tour and wasn't going to buzz, like Pinky, his little red Strat that he had. It was becoming a little bit old, a little bit fragile. And he walked down into Denmark Street one day, picked up this guitar, and I think he bought about 5. They are a great guitar, and that's just one of many good guitars out there. So, just to reiterate what I said at the beginning, in my guitar world there is no place for guitars like this.
Thanks Harry for that. Really appreciate it, guys. If you want to check out Harry's Guitar Academy, which is called Crossroads Guitar Academy, it's all in the description below in the link. Check that out if you want some guitar tuition. Top bloke, top guitar collector, really knows his stuff. But for me personally, if you're buying a guitar online, we can't get out and play these guitars. We can't physically look at them. Just be careful. Check out Reverb, check out eBay, but just be very, very careful. Do your research, do your homework, send me a message about potential guitars you might be interested in, or I'll put you in touch with Harry or other people. For example, we had Reg last month, who's got a brilliant guitar store in Kirby and Liverpool. Give the experts a call. Now, Harry's just mentioned about Epiphone. I'm just going to quickly nip onto the internet. Now, a guitar that caught my eye, and I've put some links on here now, is basically the Epiphone Joe Bonamassa Black Beauty Les Paul Custom. Now, that guitar's been reviewed recently in Guitarist magazine. It's gone crazy. People have sold out, and that is a top spec Gibson Les Paul custom inspired guitar made by Epiphone. And to be honest, the retail price, including VAT, if you're in the United Kingdom, is £749. And for me, that is it's a huge amount of guitar for not a lot of money if you're thinking of moving on from a beginner's electric guitar or an acoustic to something that you really want to aspire to. But you can't justify at this moment in time the expense of buying the genuine article. But you might be tempted in buying something online like the gold top that you've just seen. But that is a perfect example. I'll stick some links in the description below. But as always, guys, it's been an absolute pleasure. We'll see you next time for another episode of Gigs and Guitars, and there's always time of the day for a brew. Cracking.